never set out to win a Nobel Prize. I only set out to do everything to the best of my ability, and I never put in a second-rate effort. With such resilience in his work, Sir Kroto finally became the co-winner of the 1996 Nobel Prize. A professor from Florida State University was awarded the Nobel Prize for his discovery of the carbon compounds called fullerenes. This discovery opened up an entirely new branch of chemistry with consequences in such diverse areas as astrochemistry, superconductivity, and materials chemistry, physics. Professor Sir Kroto presently carries out research in nanoscience and nanotechnology and has served as president of the Royal Society of Chemistry. He has also set up the Vega Science Trust, a UK educational charity and TV science channel attached by over 165 countries, of which many programs have been broadcast on BBC, aiming to improve knowledge and raise awareness of scientific achievements.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Talk Vietnam for an exclusive interview with 1996 Nobel laureate in chemistry, Professor Sir Kroto from Florida State University. It's our great honor and privilege to have him here with us. Today we'll learn more about the discovery that won him the Nobel Prize and his unique philosophy of science. Professor Sir Kroto, nice to meet you. Hi. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Did I have a choice?
How are you today?
Well, I'm still alive, more or less, but interesting, and my first visit to Vietnam, and so far it's been very interesting and enjoyable.
That's great. And what was your first impression of Colorado?
Well, I haven't had a lot, but I mean, one first impression is that there's quite a lot of building going on, and also that a lot of the houses that I saw were well constructed, and they, in a way that many buildings in the USA, they're made of wood and will fall down in a hurricane. But I've not been really here long enough to form an impression. I only know of Vietnam from outside and from films and things of this nature. But I have a good impression of Vietnam, partly because I see something deep in the culture that has allowed it to make friends with America after the difficulties of about 50 years ago. And I think Vietnam is a lesson to other countries in the world on how they can overcome those sorts of difficulties. And so I've always felt there's something special about the country that can do that.
And what made you decide to donate your valuable time and energy to the 4th ASEAN event series, Bridges Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace?
Well, I think I've been I'm invited somewhere every day, and that was one that interested me, but it took a long time to come and to be able to come, because I have a long backlog of requests. But I mean, peace is obviously something that interests me. My view is that I'm going around the world and talking to young people and trying to inspire them to do science and think about thinking for themselves, but also developing a humanitarian attitude, and hopefully, if they get into positions of responsibility, change the direction of politicians towards working together to solve their problems rather than setting up people to go and kill each other.
And how about your schoolboy times? You were still a schoolboy when you developed what you call an unhealthy interest in chemistry.
Yeah, that's a bit of a joke, but yes, yeah. But when I was young, I was good at making things with my hands. And my father, who was a refugee, really ensured that I had things to make.
And you mentioned your father, so did your parents have a great influence on facilitating your interest in natural science?
Well, my father was an engineer, and he did influence me because he gave me an electric train set, and I had Meccano and things. He certainly, these were things that were given to me. And I also had a big room. It was an old house. It was really in the slums, but I had my own world in there where I had a train set and made things out of a set called Meccano and things of this nature. So he definitely encouraged the practical side of things, and less so on the art side because that, but I think, I even today think I'm better at that, although I've had much less practice at it, and I really would have liked to have done more of that than I've been able to do.
Were you the best in your class?
No, not at all. I was good, but I was never the best in the class, and it depends what subject. So I was up in the top quarter or third in general. The only thing I was best at as a young child was geography. I mean, that was the subject, and I remember coming top in geography and deciding, oh, I can be top in something, so I'll focus on geography, and I think that's part of it. But I don't like competition. I don't think it's healthy. I think the thing top of the form is not a good thing because there are kids at the bottom. We've got to have a totally different attitude to schoolwork. We somehow have to encourage people, the young kid who's bottom of the form. What sort of incentive is that? So there's something really at a very fundamental level not right in the way that we imprint competition as being good in our schools and education programs. I don't know what the solution is, but that's definitely not one of them. Because every kid has some potential, and I think a lot of them, when they're bottom of the form, then feel that's it and they can't achieve anything. And we need to rethink that.
Definitely. And what advice would you give to a child who would want to be where you are now?
Well, don't even think about it. I mean, I've said that I'm a Nobel Prize winner, and I never thought of this. And if people had said, you're going to be a Nobel Prize winner, I would have said, you're crazy. I didn't go into science to win any prizes. I didn't even go into it to be a professor. The advice I have to all children, whatever it is, it's not about science, is to find something which satisfies them. I don't like the word enjoyment. You say, I enjoy this. I don't enjoy hard work any more than anybody else does. On the other hand, I think people who are successful in being creative get something else. They enjoy it when they're finished, but they're able to somehow just immerse themselves in a creative process where hard work doesn't seem hard work. It's something that the hard work pays off by achieving something at the end, and they're satisfied that they've done something that nobody else could do. But it's also something that is determination. And I tell young people, if you're doing something and a second-rate job satisfies you, find something else where only a first-rate effort, your best shot, will satisfy you, and then you'll be successful.
Kroto was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1996 with Robert Karl and Richard Smalley for the discovery of C60, the molecule made up of 60 carbon atoms that garnered fame for being shaped like a soccer ball. C60 was named Buckminster Fullerene, or buckyballs, in tribute to the architect Buckminster Fuller and his iconic geodesic domes. The discovery of buckyballs led to an entirely new branch of chemistry, the science of fullerenes. Until then, carbon was only known to take on two forms. One was extremely hard, diamond, and the other very soft but electrically conductive, graphite. The new fullerene molecules and their close relations, carbon nanotubes, often exhibit both of these properties and are already being tested in solar cells, nanocircuits, and drug delivery systems. Carbon nanotubes have already proven to be the strongest materials in the world and promise exceptionally light and versatile components.
I have a mission to ensure that people understand science Science is about asking questions and curiosity.
So how about your Nobel Prize? What triggered your discovery of C60 in 1985?
Well, I was interested in the chemistry in a star. But I've done 20 years of research to get to that, and we'd done some work in the laboratory with a colleague, David Walton, which ended up with a nice piece of research, which ended up with the discovery of molecules in interstellar space by radio astronomy. And then other people discovered an interesting star which had some interesting chemistry. And I was interested in that, and just by really pure chance, I was visiting Rice University with a friend of mine, a scientist, Bob Curl, who said I should go and visit Rick Smalley in another lab. He's doing something interesting. And it looked interesting, and then I went to see him. And during this that visit for an hour, I could see that this technology that Rick had created really was revolutionary as far as cluster science was concerned. Might actually just solve a little problem that had been in the back of my mind. Not very important, interesting to me, not really interesting to anybody else. And then we did it, and it worked exactly as I expected, except that it had an incredible surprise, that it did something else. The result was, I didn't even need to do it. It seemed to me it was obvious it was going to give this result, but it did something else totally unexpected, and that led to the Nobel Prize. And there's a lesson here that here was an experiment that wasn't particularly important to my colleagues. It was more important to me personally, but not on an outside level. Just wanted to solve a little problem in my head, and here was an incredible breakthrough which was totally unexpected, and that's the way that many breakthroughs are made. It's not going after these important things. It's not competing with other people. If you're competing with other people, 100 other groups who think this is important, then you've only got a 1% chance of making the breakthrough. So